Hello everyone, I'm Jamie Lenhart and welcome back to A Table for One. Well, I hope everyone is enjoying their summer so far. It's been crazy hot, I know, and I hope you're avoiding the heat. But, I guess in cooler thoughts, I just heard today that Jet Puff Marshmallows and Starbucks are already talking about pumpkin spice. It's July. Well, whatever, it's summer. I know I'm enjoying it. I hope you are. And before we jump into our other stuff in this episode, I do want to call out, like normal, if you haven't subscribed to the SFC YouTube channel, please click below and do that so you get notified as new videos come out. And also, if you're not getting our informational emails, both church-wide, but also the women's ministry is sending out a regular email, I believe it's weekly right now, of different resources and connection stuff and things like that. If you're not getting those, please contact the office at office@springfieldfaithcenter.org. That way you get on the mailing list and you actually get that information. It's just a great way to keep up to date on things. Well, that being said, let's go ahead and have our meditative moment. And I'm really excited this week because I'm not doing it. Actually, Terry Burns submitted a video for me. So let's go to Terry with our meditative moment for this week.
Hi everyone. For today's meditative moment, we're going to look to the book of Joshua, chapter 1, verse 9. Have I not commanded you? Be strong and courageous. Do not be terrified. Do not be discouraged. For the Lord your God is with you wherever you go. Now, this is the Lord commanding Joshua to lead the Israelites over the Jordan River into the land of promise after Moses died. And the question, have I not commanded you, is a rhetorical question to let us know the power and the authority of the person who's asking that question, which is our Creator God, our God Almighty. And I want us all to recognize as well that following, be strong and courageous. Do not be terrified. Do not be discouraged. Those are not suggestions. Those are commands as well from our God. Be strong. Do not be terrified. Do not be discouraged. For the Lord your God is with you wherever you go. Now, oftentimes when I need to impress upon myself who my God is and who I am in my God, I will declare the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, the God of Jacob, the God of Terry, for he is our God, and he is with us wherever we go. So as we take a moment to meditate on this verse, I want to encourage each one of you to speak that out loud. Our God is the Creator God of the heavens and the earth. There is none like him. He is the Almighty. He is the Most High. He is the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, the God of Jacob, and the God of you. So when you speak this out in your mind or out loud as you meditate on this verse, plug your name in to the end, just like I do, and remind yourself who you are and who your God is and what he's commanding you, because he is with us wherever we go.
am very thankful to Terry for giving us that meditative moment. And I do want to say that I know that she is not the only one that hears from God. I'm not. All the people that you see all the time on stage or on camera aren't. And if God is talking to you about something in your devotion time, in your private time, and you think it might be something to share, or even if it's just you just want to express what God's doing, let me know. Let me know, contact me, either through Facebook or through the church, and maybe you'll be one of our meditative moments. It'd be really fun to see and hear from you. Now, this week, I don't have an interview for you. I decided to do something a little different. And we've been hearing what God's been doing in the lives of different people in our church, and I felt it was time that I needed to share something. And this came out of something this last week. And so our table talk is kind of a monologue. I'm going to try to not preach. I don't think you need another sermon. But I just want to share what God was talking to my heart that I think is for everyone. So our table talk guest is me. And so let's just dig right into it. So this last week, my family and I went camping. We went on vacation. And I found out something about myself in this season is I am really bad at vacation. Almost as bad as Steve is at retirement. But I don't do well in times where I just have to sit and be and not be active, not have something to do. I like being busy. I fill up my time. I fill it up with projects around the house. I fill it up with projects like this. I love ministry. And I still have my job, I still have my family, but that means a lot of my other time is filled up with ministry stuff, be it worship or the table or preaching or different things like that. So I like being busy. I enjoy it. And it fulfills a part of me. But in this, something was out of balance. And in this time of rest that I was supposed to be having with my family, I developed a really bad attitude. And luckily, some of the other people that were there camping near us, they didn't see it. We knew them, they were friends. But my family did, my wife did, my kids did. And that's not fair to them. So I had to start saying, what's going on? Because it was something I couldn't shake. And so it took while we were gone and then while we were back and just thinking and meditating and praying. And I in one of my times in scripture, I was actually reading in Titus and it was interesting because something jumped out to me in a different way. A section, it was in Titus 2. And in Titus 2, it's talking to the instructions for elders, for the older generation, but both men and women and younger men and then bondservants and women. And it's this how to conduct your life. And there's a theme that runs through it all of temperance, balance, of sensibility. And it suddenly just popped out to me, like, because something's out of balance. Something's out of whack, and that means I am leaning some way off, and it means I'm not coping well. And my priorities might even be off. And so I started thinking on that, I'm like, well, what's off in me? What's the rhythm that I'm missing? And I started thinking about it because I have a friend, AJ Svoboda, he came and preached for us one week, or two weeks. And he wrote a book actually about the Sabbath rhythm. And I was like, well, is it that? That's something I've struggled with in the past. And I was like, nah, it's not exactly it. And I felt the Spirit start to impress something on me. And it was, I'm letting you experience this. And even experience it poorly for a reason. And I've realized that he does this to me and for me and with me. That there are times I get a feeling, I get an impression, I experience something, and it's not necessarily about me, but it is about me, but it's not. Because I'm experiencing something so that something comes out of it. And I think this was one of those times. That it's this idea of this sensibility and this balance and moderation in our lives that he was trying to talk to me about, both for myself and am I taking the breaks and the times with my family that I need to have and being present with them. But also, it's when things get off in our life, how do we handle it? Do we handle it in a way that we stop and go to God with it, or do we react in our emotion and in our just feeling big? And often then, maybe not in the most constructive manner. And so, in reading that section and in kind of meditating on it, I realized, okay, some different things come into play in our lives that sometimes can send us into this imbalance. And it's weird because it can be through what we create in our lives. We create ourselves too busy, or we lean one way or the other. It can be our own theology. Our understanding of God and of our faith can bring us to an imbalance. And one that I've seen and I've lived, and that I had to evaluate in this, was actually in Philippians. Philippians 1:21, we've heard it a ton of times, and we kind of put it up on this pedestal of Paul saying, for me to live is Christ, but to die is gain. And it's this almost thing of like, well, I should be forsaking everything for this cause, and nothing should be more important than that. Everything else should pale, which is true. But then it throws us out of balance because, let's be honest, there are other things like that we still have to handle. We still have to care for our families. We still have to care for those around us, not just in spreading the faith. And so that understanding of our theology, when it's to live as Christ, it's that in all I do, I want to please him, is one thing. But if we're saying all I want to do is to do these things, these tasks, and the other stuff just isn't important, I just won't worry about that. That's not what it's talking about. So sometimes our understanding of God and our walk and our faith leads us into an imbalance. Sometimes it's our routines. Sometimes it's just our lives around us. In our routines, it's like what AJ wrote about was this idea of, he even said that, pastors can break one of the 10 commandments all the time and nobody bats an eye. And he was talking about the Sabbath. That's actually it was decreed. You will keep the Sabbath holy and not labor. And obviously a pastor, people would have issues if a pastor murdered, if a pastor was lying, if they were doing these other things. But if they don't keep the Sabbath rhythm, that's okay. Not that they're not doing good things. So it can be our routine. Our routine becomes more important. But sometimes it can even be just the world around us and life and situation. And I believe in my very core that what God was having me experience and go through was to bring to light something that we're all going through right now. And there's a lot of people really struggling with. And it's that we're feeling an imbalance, or we're experiencing an imbalance and a skewing. And it's something that Tony actually started talking about this week in the new series that has been started of A Church Without Walls. If you haven't watched that sermon yet, here's a link. Go to it. Even if you need to, go to it right now and come back. but it's really important what's being talked about. It's really important for our church. It's really important for each one of us to understand and experience. So, what I believe the Spirit was bringing me through and is walking me through right now is this imbalance that we have had this routine, we have had this lifestyle where we gather together each week. We worship, we hear the word, we greet, we connect. We do those things every week, which is good. It is vital, it is wonderful, but we're not able to do it. And so what's happened is, as that has been pulled away from us, suddenly we feel unanchored. We feel disconnected. We feel alone. We feel vulnerable. We feel depressed, sad, all these emotions going on. But it's revealed an imbalance. That it's good, it's right, it's wonderful to get together. I love it, I miss it. But it's not church. It's not the church. It's a meeting. It's a gathering. And it's good, but it's not what it's all about. And that's what Tony's starting to talk about. And next week we'll have another sermon on it. Our imbalance has been we've leaned so heavily on this organized structure, this organized meeting time that we have, that we feel lost. We feel adrift. We feel alone without it. And that shouldn't be. It should not be. But it is. So now we're in the situation that we're out of balance. We aren't tempered. We aren't temperate in this because it feels all or nothing. So God allowed me to go through something so that I would find my own imbalance. And I did not conduct myself well. I let my emotion run wild. I let my anger come out. And I am not against anger. But when it comes out in a non-constructive way, I am. Because all it does is cause hurt and harm. So, what I have for you, church, is a simple word with a not so simple solution. And that's we have to find the balance again. I'm having to do it for myself. But we have to find the balance again as a community of believers. And we have to experience church as a body in a different way. And that's okay. In many ways, it's wonderful. Because part of it is we get to look back and say, how did the early church do this? They couldn't necessarily gather together in big groups. They had persecutions that, I'm going to be honest, we are not being persecuted right now. We are not. We are in difficult times and frustrating times and anger-making times, but we are not being persecuted like the early church. So now we have to experience our faith community in a totally different way. We have to get creative. We have to think outside the box of where we've been for hundreds of years and for our entire lifetime. So, what I really want to do and what I want to encourage you and challenge you and ask of you, for all of you watching this, I want to hear from you in a very specific way. Because I've created this and I love doing it and I am excited to do it all the time. And Dan has been laboring away at building hopefully a small group structure, kind of a home group-ish type thing. But we also are here to connect with you, serve you, and be a part of this life with you. You are a part of it. You're not just a spectator, a consumer. You are our partners. So what I would like to ask, and strongly ask, is go to the website. I'll throw up another link here. Click and go to it. That link is actually going to go to the prayer request page. In that page, it's actually free form. So you fill out your information and there's a note area. I want you, in that form, tell us what is the thing that you feel you are missing the most from our time together as a church. What is the area that you are seeing an imbalance in you? That you just, I crave it, I miss it. And it's okay to be specific. It could be, I really miss having my kids in children's ministry. I'm struggling giving them anything. It could be, I miss worship and singing with one another. I don't know. I don't know where you are, but I want to hear it. I desperately want to hear it. Because as we take that information, it can help us shape what we do and how we live as a church in this season. So click on the link, again, right up there. Tell us what you're missing right now and where your imbalance or dysfunction is. Let's be partners as one family, as one community, as we seek to still live life in a vibrant, exciting way as believers in Christ, as heirs to his kingdom, as children of the Most High. But let's let go of what we're holding so tightly to. And let's step into what Christ is doing in this amazing season. Because I can assure you, it is an amazing season. And amazing things are going to happen if we just let go and partner with him. So send in that information, and I look forward to being with you next week on A Table for One. Have a wonderful week.